In this post, I mentioned just how much Harry Potter means to me, and also the fact that I've learned to recite the books so that I can go to sleep in silence any time of night and have the books read to me without me having to actually have my eyes open to read it. So I'm going to just pick random chapters from each of the 7 books and just recite the first few sentences of them. As such, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Let's do chapter 11, which was Quidditch. As they entered November, the weather turned very cold. The mountains around the school became icy grey and the lake like chilled steel. Every morning the ground was covered in frost, and Hagrid could be seen from the upstairs windows defrosting broomsticks on the Quidditch pitch, bundled up in a long moleskin overcoat, thick rabbit fur gloves, and enormous beaver skin boots. Okay, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Let's do chapter 9, which was the writing on the wall. What's going on here? What's going on? Attracted no doubt by Malfoy's shouts, Argus Filch came shouldering his way through the crowd. Then he saw Mrs. Norris and he fell back clutching his face in horror. My cat, what's happened to Mrs. Norris? He shrieked. And his popping eyes fell on Harry. You, he screeched. You've murdered my cat. You've killed her. I'll kill you. Okay. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Let's do chapter 13, which was Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. It looked like the end of Ron and Hermione's friendship. Each was so angry with the other that Harry couldn't see how they'd ever make it up. Ron was enraged that Hermione had never taken Crookshanks's attempts to eat Scabbers seriously, had not bothered to keep a close enough watch on him, and was still trying to pretend Crookshanks was innocent by suggesting that Ron looked for Scabbers under all the boys' beds. Okay, Goblet of Fire, let's do chapter 1, the Riddle House. The villagers of Little Hangleton still called it the Riddle House, even though it had been many years since the Riddle family had lived there. It stood on a hill overlooking the village, some of its windows boarded, tiles missing from its roof, and ivy spreading unchecked over its face. Okay, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Let's do chapter 23, Christmas on the Closed Ward. Was this why Dumbledore would no longer meet Harry's eyes? Did he expect to see Voldemort staring out of them, afraid perhaps that their vivid green might suddenly turn to scarlet, with cat-like slits for pupils? Okay, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Let's do chapter 16, which was a very frosty Christmas. So Snape was offering to help him. He was definitely offering to help him. If you ask that one more time, said Harry, I'm going to stick this sprout. I'm only checking, said Ron. They were standing alone at the Burrows' kitchen sink, peeling a mountain of sprouts for Mrs. Weasley. Snow was swirling past the window in front of them. Yes, Snape was offering to help him, said Harry. He said he'd promised his mother to protect him, and that he'd made an unbreakable oath or something. An unbreakable vow, said Ron, looking stunned. Nah, he can't have. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure, said Harry. Why? What does it mean? Well, you can't break an unbreakable vow. I'd figured that much out for myself, funnily enough. What happens when you break it then? You die, said Ron simply. Okay, Book 7, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Let's do chapter 19, which was the Silver Doe. It was snowing by the time Hermione took over the watch at midnight. Harry's dreams were confused and disturbing. Nagini wove in and out of them, first through a gigantic cracked ring, then through a wreath of Christmas roses. He woke repeatedly, panicky, convinced that somebody had called out to him in the distance and that the wind whipping around the tent was footsteps or voices. Okay, there's a short sample of me just reciting a random chapter. This is the first sentences of a random chapter from any of the 7 books. And I thought it appropriate to add this to this video as it's a symbol of how much Harry Potter means to me. So thank you.